Friends, good evening. It is Nomad Brad coming to you from very windy San Diego. Can you see my head out here? I'm just hanging out right on the water. How's everybody doing? Happy to have you here. We got 5 people hanging out, 8 people hanging out. I'll show you what I'm watching really quick. I've been, because of how windy it is, there's a couple boats over here, sailboats, that actually the wind like pushed one of them loose and it smashed into the other boat. And so now they're having, like, they got a little motorboat out there trying to help them get them separated. But I just been kind of watching that for the last half an hour. It's been quite the struggle for them to try to get them separated, but it looks like they might have finally done it. But yeah, I saw Diana just commented, relaxing to be on the water. I agree with that. I agree with that. Nice to be on the water. I'm gonna make my way through the park here, head towards the van. It's super blustery. I hope the audio is not a complete mess. The wind is at my back, and so hopefully that kind of helps shield some of the wind noise. But it's a beautiful park. I want to show you guys what's going on. So I just arrived into San Francisco yesterday morning, basically, and so I've been here about 2 days and did a little bit of driving around, and so far it's been really nice. I haven't seen any crazy, homeless encampments or vandalism or anything. And so I know, like when you watch the news and stuff, they'll tell you about how bad things are, but I think it's probably limited to certain parts of the main city. But everything outside of the downtown city is very, very beautiful. And this park is very well maintained. You can see they just cut the grass recently, and it's right on the ocean here. Beautiful day. Dave says, was watching your pass-through door install video earlier today with my kid. She wants to live in a box truck. Happy to hear it. John C. Aloha from Northern Virginia. Yeah, Dave, it's interesting. I have a couple other subscribers that have children, and they've mentioned that their kids want to live in vehicles as well, specifically box trucks. So I think the younger generation is kind of pretty open-minded when it comes to nomad life, which is nice. It's a pretty cool lifestyle. So I think happy to hear that your kids are into it. So here we are right on the, I guess this isn't really the ocean because there's still land on the other side. So this is some kind of a little, like a little bay. But then this is just like a little strip that you can walk out, but then on the other side is the ocean. So we're pretty close. And yeah, also this little like dinghy boat also broke loose. It was attached to this sailboat right here earlier today. So this guy, I don't know if his anchor let go or if he was tied up and he came untied, but their little dinghy got washed up here on the rocks. Hopefully it didn't get too damaged, but I don't know how they're gonna get to it, right? If you're living on a sailboat and your dinghy breaks loose, your only option, I guess, is to, you gotta swim to it. Josh LLC, my dude, you're absolutely right. Gas prices are crazy in Cali, although, look at this, we could almost hop in this boat and ride away. I found gas yesterday for $4.49 a gallon, which was one of the lower prices I've seen. Yeah, look at that little dinghy. We got what do we got inside? A bicycle and a cart and some other stuff. So there you go. There's your boat. There's your boat life. Woo! Also, shout out to these new flip-flops that I've been wearing. I bought these the other day. They're awesome for van life. They like slip on and off super easy. They're really comfortable. And on the bottom, it's not like a super aggressive tread, so it doesn't like mud and dirt doesn't really get caked into it. So it's a pretty nice tread design, super lightweight. And I like these because they're actually pretty comfortable to walk around in. And then also, you know, it's easy to slip on and off when you're hopping inside the van. So definitely like these little slippers. I've seen them all over the place. I got these at like, I think I got them at TJ Maxx. They were like 15 bucks, but definitely recommend them. Josh LLC sent me a text message the other day, said he wants to meet up when I get back to Arizona. So looking forward to meeting up with Josh LLC. I'm curious, Josh, where you're at. I feel like I heard from you a couple months ago when you were in northern Arizona and you were talking about hitting the road, but it sounds like you're still in Arizona. So I'm curious if you're working or traveling or if you're doing your mobile mechanic stuff. Curious what's going on with you, man. But definitely like to meet up with you when I get to Arizona. So this park, let's see, I'll switch over views here. There's my van right in the back there, you can see it. Why is my camera all blurry? Right there, there's where I've been parked here all day. And last night I stayed just down the street. There's like some industrial parking. And so I stayed down just next to some semi trucks. It's pretty easy. I've had pretty good success finding parking here in San Francisco. And I hadn't been down here yet to this park, but I noticed there's a bunch of RVs here, and they have their slides out. Like this RV right here, he's got a slide on both sides of his rig that are currently popped open. He's been here all day, and then there's like a ProMaster, a black ProMaster here that's been parked here all day. And so this seems like a pretty good spot. So I think I'm just gonna stay here tonight. I'm currently parked technically in the parking lot, but I think the park closes at like 8 or 9, and I think I'm just gonna try to sleep right here on the street tonight. I'm sure a lot of these cars will, they'll clear out. These are just like daytime folks. So I'll try to get a spot maybe up a little bit in front of that RV, stay the night here, and then continue south. Josh LLC, happy to hear you got to do some touring and move around a little bit, explore the West Coast. That's exciting. You went all the way from Tijuana up the West Coast. That's a beautiful view, a beautiful drive, especially, yeah, poor guy in the car, he was freaking out. Especially in that van. The van you have, it's definitely a lot easier to navigate the coastal highways in a traditional van versus my big box truck. I definitely wouldn't want to take Highway 1 with this box truck. It's kind of a beast. It took forever. Yeah, I'm sure it did take a long time, but also I'm sure it was a really good drive, and I'm sure it was rewarding. Somebody asked me if it's feeling safe. It feels very safe down here. Again, I've only been here a couple days, and I haven't, you know, I think for most cities, they have their kind of danger zones, because it seems like for me, whenever I see like, you know, the true homeless people, the drug people, the ones that are kind of just squatting, they're all in groups, you know, they all have their own little community. And so they kind of congregate to a single area. And I think it's usually an area where they can get services, you know, they can get, you know, whatever food that's given out, or medical services, or like needle exchanges. So I think for the most part, most of that business is kind of centralized to a specific area. So like I said, so far I've been driving all over. I've been looking, I haven't seen any bad parts. This park is right next to a golf course. Right here's a golf course. It's actually really pretty. Some people out golfing today. And you know, so I think it's just one of those things where, you know, any city you go to, you just want to watch out and make sure you're not in one of the shady parts of town. And if you are, move on. Oh, what does this say? Josh LLC. I had a homeless guy in Eureka throw a huge rock at my feet and say it's about to go Red October. Oh my goodness. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. I've never had a situation like that. That sounds terrible. Shadow Reaper. Yeah, it's beautiful down here, right? It's like, what is it? A little after 6, sun's going down. We're getting some of that nice golden hour filtered light. There's like a big walking path down here that goes all the way down and then along the ocean. So yeah, for me, when it comes to van life, I always try to find water as much as possible. I find water super relaxing and enjoyable, and so whenever I can stay by the ocean or a river or a lake, then I definitely try to do that. Josh, I'm gonna launch my business this year in Quartzsite. Oh, okay. I never dissolved my LLC from Oklahoma, so if it's not cash, it's going through that business. Yeah, hell yeah, cool, Josh. So Josh LLC is a mechanic, a mobile mechanic, and he's gonna be offering his services to the Nomad community, and it sounds like he's kicking things off in Quartzsite this winter. So if any of you guys are mobile and you wanna come hang out with a bunch of nomads, Quartzsite is definitely gonna be a good spot to visit. I'll be in Arizona most winter. I'll probably bounce between Arizona and San Diego because I have a feeling I'm gonna have probably some solar jobs that come up in San Diego, but it's only a couple-hour drive, depending on where I'm at from Quartzsite to San Diego. So I'll probably kind of bounce back and forth this winter, but that's kind of my plan. And so, damn, I almost got taken out by a scooter. Woo! And so, yeah, I think that's a good place for Josh to kick off his mechanic business. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that need help. There's thousands of rigs down there, thousands of van life and box trucks. I'm curious, Josh, if you're gonna be sticking to just regular vehicles like vans, or if you're comfortable with any kind of buses or motorhomes like that have like a Class C. You know, it's like a Class C motorhome that's just like an Econoline or a GMC chassis. So I'm curious what you're open to working on, because in Quartzsite, I'm gonna head towards the box truck, by the way. It's too damn windy out here. In Quartzsite, there's a lot of RV people. So there'll be a lot of folks in Class A's and Class C's that would be interested in help. I know all the Class A stuff is gonna be diesel, and so that might not be something you wanna mess with, unless it's the older Class A's. There's some older A's that use like the big 390 gas engines and stuff, but for the most part, a lot of the Class A's now are diesel. But yeah, Josh, let me know what you're specializing in, what you're gonna be working on, and I'll keep an ear to the streets for you and see if we can scramble up some business. So here we are. And the beauty of van life is just like that. We were at the park and now we're home. I love it. I got this premium upfront parking spot. Look at that, right at the park. All these poor folks had to drive from their houses, and I just walked from my house right to the park. Josh LLC, oh yeah, bro, my van and your truck have the same engine and chassis. Yeah, I have the 6.8 V10. I'm assuming you have a 5.4 V8, but it's very similar. Not a diesel guy unless it's maintenance, but yeah, Class C's, gas buses. I've been balls deep in Ford Transits and Pro. Yeah, Josh, there's a lot of problems that I'm seeing with ProMasters. Hold on, let me find my tripod here so I can set you guys up. I just been seeing in general in the community a lot of issues with ProMasters. It seems like they have a lot of transmission related stuff, and yeah, transits as well. So yeah, I mean, no matter what vehicle you get, it's going to need maintenance, and stuff is going to break down and need repairs. So it's good to have a mechanic you can trust, and especially, you know, when you're a nomad, it's nice if you can have a mechanic that can come to you, because sometimes you break down or you have an issue and you can't just go to a regular mechanic because they want you to drop your car off for a few days so they can, you know, schedule it in and take a look at it. And when you're living in your car, you can't really just drop it off at the mechanic for a week and wait for them to check it out. So nice to have a mobile mechanic that can work on it on location. And speaking of mechanics, I went to my mechanic, my U-Haul mechanic in Monrovia, California. Let's see, Josh LLC. Yep, if you buy a Dodge, it's a Fiat now. Fiat is junk. The 2-valve engines are all Econolines. Ford box trucks are bulletproof and have none of the 3-valve Triton issues. You have a good rig. Awesome. Happy to hear it. Happy to hear it. Yes, I went to my U-Haul mechanic right before Burning Man. I got a whole bunch of work done. He took care of me, and he just called me a couple days ago to tell me he found a new set of leaf springs for me. So I don't know if I told you guys, but the rear leaf springs on my van, so typically on a vehicle, you know, the leaf springs, like, I don't know how to make my hand, but the leaf springs curve up and then the axle is underneath it. And so when you're driving, the leaf springs like flex and they provide a, you know, a spring function. But on my box truck, my leaf springs are all worn out, and they actually, instead of curving like this, they actually curve like this. And so I don't even really have springs. My van chassis is just resting on the rubber bump stops. And so whenever I hit like a pothole or, you know, rough road, it's like the super rear end is super bouncy and rough. And so my mechanic, my U-Haul mechanic got a set of leaf springs. He got a free set of leaf springs and from an old U-Haul that they pulled apart, but the leaves were good. And so I'm going to cruise down to him and he's going to throw them on for me. I'll give you guys a shot and show you what I'm talking about. Tell me if you can see this. Let's see. We'll see if I can give you guys a little preview. So it's kind of hard to see, but if you look at the leaf springs, they curve like this. And they're supposed to curve like this. So basically my whole like chassis, it should be sitting up like a few more inches, but it's not. It's totally blown out. My springs are totally busted. And so, hold on. Oh, it's tight down here. So my whole vehicle, like all the weight of my van conversion is just sitting on these rubber bump stops, which is sitting on my axle. So I literally have no rear suspension. And so every time I hit a bump, my whole box just basically slams up and down. So yeah, those leaf springs are totally shot. But the good news is, so I need new leaf springs. Apparently whoever was renting this totally overloaded it, totally blew out the springs. But the good news is my mechanic, he actually works at U-Haul, and so they like will occasionally decommission vehicles, like vehicles that come in if they get in like a collision or, you know, just the engine blows up and they decide to scrap the vehicle. they basically tear everything apart at U-Haul and they break it down and they scrap everything. And so he got a set of springs off a vehicle that was like in a front end collision, and they were going to just throw them out. And so he put them aside and brought them home, and he's going to give them to me. So I'm super excited because those leaf springs, I was trying to find some online. You can't really find used ones very easily, and to get a brand new set, they're like $1,000 a piece plus shipping. So I would have to pay 2 grand just for the springs, plus probably another, I don't know, 300 or 400 bucks shipping. So yeah, Josh, by the way, this is all thanks to Josh LLC. He hooked me up with this guy. Um, I was putting a call out months ago for my leaky transmission brake, and Josh LLC put in the work, hopped on Facebook, and got a hold of this guy who is a U-Haul mechanic in Monrovia. His name is AD. He's been absolutely awesome. I mean, at this point, he really is a friend. He's already done work for me on 2 separate occasions. So when I go back to visit him in a couple weeks, that'll be the 3rd time that I have worked with him, and he's super reasonable. Like, his prices are really good. He just works like on the side at his house for me, and he guarantees all of his repair work. So really cool guy, really nice guy, really knowledgeable guy. This is the kind of guy you want to have in your corner. When you really need help. The main benefit of this guy helping me out is just that he works specifically on U-Hauls. So he knows like all the ins and outs. He knows all the parts back and forward. And literally they have like an assembly line where during the day they'll drive in a U-Haul, they'll check, inspect everything that's on it, and then if it needs work, then they send it to another section and they do the repair work. And so it's almost like a NASCAR pit crew where the car pulls in. He said he has a team of like 4 or 5 guys that basically just, they put it on a lift, they run up, they check everything out on it, figure out what needs to be done, and then send it off to get repaired. So it definitely sounds like a pretty cool, like advanced setup, and so I'm happy to have this guy on my side. Yeah, so this is E450. The van I have now is the 6.8 liter Ford E450. This guy lives in Monrovia, California, is where he's located. And let's see, I saw a couple questions come in. Let me see what the people are saying. Yeah, I am considering airbags. So I found some online. They make airbags that are specific to this vehicle. So they're designed, basically the airbags would replace that rubber bump stop that I showed you, that little cylinder. And so then with the airbags, you can pressurize them, and so it kind of softens or stiffens your bounce on the back end. So after I get the springs swapped out back to how they should be, then I'll give it a test drive, see how it runs, and if it's still a little bouncy, then I'll add airbags. I found a set of, I think they were Motorcraft airbags on Amazon specifically for this vehicle, and I think they were only 350 bucks. So that was a pretty good price. That doesn't include an air compressor, but that's the bags and the mounting brackets. Super Dave, yeah, I just had shocks done a year ago. I just had my shocks replaced, but I don't know if maybe since the springs are shot, maybe the shocks have been worn out now, right? Because the shocks have basically just been sitting all the way closed versus, being like open and then compressing and expanding. So that's something I didn't even consider. I might have to replace the shocks in the back, which shouldn't be a big deal. It's probably like, I don't know, 50 or 60 bucks a piece for some shocks. So yeah, I'll look into that. New shocks, new springs. Diana, my box truck, so it's hard to tell people what it is. The floor is 12 feet, the roof is 14 feet, but U-Haul calls it a 15-foot super mover. So I don't really know what to tell you. I call it a 12-foot because the floor is 12 feet. So the living space is basically 12 foot. So in my mind, it's a 12-foot box truck. But when you're looking for them like online, like if you want to try to buy one, they're listed as 12, 14, and 15 feet. So it's kind of one of those things that's a little difficult to, everybody calls them something different. But I call it the 12. Yeah, somebody asked if I got cleaned up since Burning Man. I did. I got all cleaned up, everything wiped down and vacuumed. It's very handy to have this vacuum. I use it all the time. Just kind of go through and vacuum things down, get all the dust and the lint and everything cleaned up. I had one casualty. The only thing is this little piece of trim. I used the power grab to secure it in place. It lives up here on top of my little sticker section. And so this guy fell off. It needs to go like that. So that guy bounced off during my drive. Oops, my drive from Burning Man. So I got to get a little more power grab, peel off that old stuff, and then put it back in place. Chilling in DC. Everyone hates on Nomad Internet so hard. Now it's been a while. What's your opinion of it these days? Yeah, people hate on Nomad pretty hard. So here's the deal with Nomad Internet. And so I watched oh, look at that. So the power grab, the cool thing about it is you can peel off the old stuff. I just got it. So I can peel it off and then I'll put new stuff on. The thing about Nomad Internet, here's the situation. I know because I researched it and I watched there was like a news channel that did a full report on Nomad Internet, right? So here's what happened. They had when it originally started, it was this younger guy that started it. And you know, like a lot of younger people that get into business, they just want to make a lot of money really fast and blow up. And they're not necessarily as concerned about consequences. And so the original CEO for Nomad Internet, he basically overpromised. They did two things. The first thing is he overpromised units. So they sold more units of the Nomad Internet device than they had in inventory. And then COVID hit and the supply chain got wrecked. And so, because in their mind, they were going to have new shipments coming in, but then those shipments got like messed up. And so basically a whole bunch of people paid for units and had to wait like months and months and months to get their devices, which is very frustrating. I would be pissed if that was me. So that was one mistake he made, but that's done now, right? Like all the units have been taken care of. And I'll also say that original CEO stepped down and there's a new guy in charge now. So the original CEO, he made that mistake. So like when you look on Facebook, when there's like an ad for Nomad Internet and you read the comments, and there'll be a bunch of people that say like, I ordered my device, you know, 9 months ago and it still hasn't arrived. That's what they're talking about. The original CEO just sold more units than they had on hand. The second mistake they made is they gave away a bunch of unlimited free internet to YouTube channels like mine. I got free unlimited internet and I've had it for almost a year now. Haven't had any issues. But what they did is they told these YouTubers if they got like 10 people to sign up with their discount code, they would give them free Nomad Internet for life. So like Eric, the Nomadic Fanatic was one of those people, and there was a couple other influencers that got free internet for life because they had at least 10 people sign up. And then what happened was when the CEO changed, he basically canceled all those free unlimited plans that the previous CEO had promised. And so now you have a whole bunch of YouTube influencers that are pissed because they were promised lifetime free internet and the deal got canceled. So that's basically what happens. So now, for two reasons, you have two different categories of people that are pissed at Nomad. You have regular retail customers that bought units and had to wait 9 months to get internet. And then you have social media influencers that were promised free internet and then they had it taken away. So now you can understand why there's so much hate for Nomad. But none of the hate is actually about the quality of the product. It's just people that are upset with the business practices, which I understand, but that's basically all it is. So I've had my Nomad. I'm using it right now. It's got the flashing blue light, which means I have currently 5G reception. I've been using my Nomad since I think they gave it to me in December. So it's been, like 9 months that I've had it. It's worked great. I love it. I haven't really had any issues with it. And when my free trial runs out, which will be this December, I'm gonna just pay for the membership. It's $100 a month. It's not cheap, but it is truly unlimited. Like I use mine all the time. I upload tons of videos. I stream YouTube videos that I watch. I do a lot of work on it. I've never had it throttled. I've never ran out of internet. The only thing I'll say is it does require cell reception. So it's not like Starlink, where with Starlink, it's a satellite connection. And as long as you have a view of the sky, you can have internet. With Nomad, you still have to be somewhat near a cell tower. Now, it's a lot better than traditional hotspot. Like if you go buy a hotspot from AT&T, Nomad's a lot stronger than that. But like at Burning Man, I wasn't able to use it. There's no cell towers out there. So you would need Starlink if you want to have complete internet no matter what. But here's the thing, Starlink too, they keep raising their prices. I saw they just raised the price on their regular internet. It's like $165 a month. So it costs you more. And the thing I like about Nomad is it's portable. Like when I did a live stream last week, I tried to live stream from the river in Reno and my iPhone reception was too slow to live stream. Hey, what's up, Big Moist? Happy to have you. So I grabbed my Nomad with the battery pack and I took it to the river. And so the cool thing about Nomad is you can use it anywhere, like indoors. Like with Starlink, you have to have a satellite that's set out in the open or mounted to your roof. But with Nomad, this is it. Like I just plug this in here in my box truck. If you want to take it remote, if you want to go work at the park, at a picnic table, you can. Also, I took it in a hotel room before when I was staying in a hotel room back in Tucson. And so it's just super portable and you don't get that kind of flexibility with Starlink, and it is a little bit cheaper. So I like it a lot. I think there's probably some lower priced stuff you can get, but I don't know what the reception is, right? And like what the quality is. Because when you buy those cheaper cell phone plans, like Mint Mobile and some of those other cheaper cell phone plans that are like, some of those cheaper cell phone plans that are like, oh, $15 a month unlimited. A lot of those companies, what they do is they rent the cell towers of the major carriers like Verizon or AT&T. And then when there's like a lot of traffic, all the priority traffic goes to the actual subscribers of AT&T. So like if I'm in a congested area and I have an AT&T phone, which is what I use, I will get service priority over someone using Mint Mobile, because Mint Mobile is just subcontracting towers like from AT&T. So that's the thing, guys, is you just got to keep in mind, you get what you pay for. That's always the case, right? So if you go buy some $15 a month cell phone plan, data plan, it might work fine sometimes, but also sometimes it's not going to be as good. That's it, is you get what you pay for. So in my mind, Nomad Internet for $100, you're paying a fair amount and you're getting a really good service. So that's all I'm going to say about it. I just went on like a 20-minute rant about internet, but that's my true opinion. I think Starlink is probably the best overall service, but I think Starlink is the best overall service, but but it's also not as convenient, right? So you have to have a satellite dish. You can't take it with you, and it's more expensive. But I think if you're going to go with like some kind of a smaller, like a less price point and something that's more portable, I think Nomad is the best choice. And I don't just say that because they sponsor me, because they just gave me the internet for free. Like there's no ongoing commissions. They're not like paying me monthly. Like I would tell you guys if it sucked, and if it sucked, I wouldn't be using it. I mean, my life depends on internet. So the fact that I'm still using it and I'll be, buying for it when when the free thing runs out, I think it's a good service. Okay, let me go back to the chat. I know some stuff came through while I was on my mini rant. Josh LLC. Oh, let's see. Let me go up a little further. Donald Frazier coming in with the information. A 17-foot truck measures 16 foot 8, and the floor is 14, according to the site. Yeah. So that's the next size up from me. That's the box truck that Suron Dave has. I did a tour of his box truck, but that's basically the next size up from mine. Mine is a 12-foot floor with a 14-foot roof. The next size up is a 14-foot floor with a 16.8 roof, and they call that a 17-foot. Donald Frazier, I can get a 2009 17-foot for $12,000, 165,000. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty fair deal to me. 12K is kind of the price range right now that I'm seeing on those rigs. You could probably even get it for less. 12K seems to be like kind of the price I'm seeing. So I would offer less. 165,000. It's a little higher on mileage. I bought my last two box trucks with 120,000 miles. Although it's harder to find them with that much mileage, with the lower mileage. So I was talking to my U-Haul mechanic AD, and she told me, he told me what happened is during COVID, they couldn't get brand new vehicles because U-Haul has a contract with Ford. They only do Fords, except on their 10-foot. Their 10-foots are GMC. But anyway, U-Haul has a contract. They get their new vehicles directly from Ford, but during COVID, they couldn't get new vehicles. There was a backup at the factory. And so what they had to do, instead of retiring their vehicles at the usual 100 to 120,000 mile mark, they extended the service life. And so they pushed all their vehicles to between 140 and 160,000 miles. So that's why now if you're looking at used U-Hauls, pretty much everything you're going to see, unless it's older, all the newer stuff you're going to see is basically between 140 and 160,000 miles. Which, it's always nice to get the lowest mileage you can, but I think even at 165,000, it's still a really strong vehicle. I was picking AD's brain. He told me it's common if you maintain these vehicles, it's common to get them up to 300,000. I asked him about the engines because this has the 6.8 V10, and I told him, the new Econolines now, the new E450s and 350s have the 7.3 Godzilla motor, which actually has a 6-speed transmission. You get better fuel economy. And I told him I was thinking about getting that motor on my next box truck. And he says they have plenty of fleet vehicles with the 7.3 Godzilla, but he told me his favorite vehicle is still the 6.8. He said out of all the motors out there, the 6.8 paired up with that transmission, I forget, it's like the R400 or something. He said it's like the most bulletproof engine that he has seen come through the line. He said it's really hard to kill a 6.8 V10. He said on 7.3s, the new 7.3s have some issues with, I forget what he was saying. Anyway, I mean, here's the thing. It's all pros and cons. It's all trade-offs. I will still ultimately get the 7.3 because I want a new cab chassis. I want a 2020 plus. I want to have all new components, not new, but like newer components, updated dash, and the fuel economy. People are reporting up to 15 miles per gallon on that new 7.3 versus, I'm getting about 9 to 10 miles a gallon on this motor. So, I mean, an increase of 5 miles a gallon is a pretty big deal when you're driving as much as I do. Matt AK is asking about cruise control. Yes, you can add cruise control. So U-Haul does not do cruise control for liability, but all you have to do is get a steering wheel that has the cruise control buttons, and then there's a piece that connects between the steering wheel and like the steering column called a clock spring. So you need a new steering wheel with the cruise control buttons, and you need a clock spring. And then if you install those items, you have to take it to Ford, and then they'll have to program it for the cruise control to work. But yes, it can be done. It has been done. There's a few YouTube videos out there about people that have done it. So, on my next vehicle, if it doesn't have cruise control, I will do it myself. Yeah, I'm sure there's some kind of an open source option. I'm sure you don't have to go to a Ford dealer. That's just, the information I saw. But I'm sure there's other ways around it. And I'm sure the Ford dealer is going to rip you off anyway. They'll probably charge you like $1,000. Oh, we have to flash your ECM. It's going to be $1,000. And then they just take it in the back and plug it into the computer. In 5 minutes, it's done. Okay, I'm going back to the chat. I know I missed a bunch. Starlink Mini is the size of your laptop. Yeah, the new Starlink Mini is definitely more portable. More portable. But it still has to have a clear view of the sky. So you can't use it inside. It still has to be outside. Steve Brotzman, I will hang in my local park with free internet till 11 p.m. That's awesome. I didn't even think about that. Free internet in the parks. I'll have to take a look. Charlie Pepin, they just raised their rate another 15 bucks a month. Yeah, I agree. Starlink price is going up. Matt AK, you have a router that takes the SIM. Yes. This internet box has 2 SIM slots built into it. So you can run 2 SIM cards directly out of this unit. I think this is technically a router. It is a router. I don't know what you'd call it, but this is like the router and modem all in one. So it's 1 unit. Let's see. What else we got? Going back to the chat. I wish the chat would stay up a little bit longer. Arizona Online. That was the best explanation of discount carriers I've ever heard. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. I mean, it just makes sense if AT&T and Verizon are charging 60 bucks a month and then someone's going to do it for 15. How are they doing it for 15? Well, they're buying the extra data on the big brand towers. Okay, let's see what else is going on. Steve Brotzman, 1,300 watts of solar on that truck. Easy. Yep, I got 12. I have 4 320 watt panels. Comes out to just a little more than 1,200 watts on the roof. The box truck your girlfriend told you not to worry about. LOL. Yeah, if I redid the roof of this box truck, I bought these solar panels in a pinch. I didn't have time. I had to take what was available. And the only thing that was available at the time was these 320 watt panels. But if I redid this, I would do the biggest panels that would fit on the roof lengthwise, which would probably, I could probably fit like a 450 or a 500 edge to edge because my roof is like 7.5 feet. And so if I put 400 watt panels, I could probably fit 2,000 watts on the roof. I could probably fit 450 or 500 watt panels. That's what I would definitely do. Diana says, my bus is a 5.7 and gets 15 miles a gallon. Happy to hear that, Diana. I think you might have a little bit older bus. And so I think some of the older carbureted stuff actually gets pretty good fuel economy. And so I'm happy to hear you're getting 15 in your 5.7. Going clear back to my very first van, I was in a Econoline E250 high top, just a regular passenger van. It had the 5.4 liter gas engine, and I only got 12 miles a gallon in that thing. You know, it's pretty small vehicle, you know, relative. So if you're getting 15 in your 5.7 short bus, I'm happy to hear it. That's a good deal. Josh LLC says there's a free Ford factory scan tool you can use called ForScan. You can do programming, etc. Oh, cool, man. Look at your live and history date. That's cool, Josh. I would like to get a live data reader. I wonder if I can hook ForScan into like a little monitor and put it on the dash, because I'd love to be able to monitor my engine temps and my trans temps and stuff while I'm driving. Peace, love, sunshine. This is the part that scares me about going all in. I know nothing about motors. Peace, love, sunshine. Don't be scared. I don't know anything about motors either. I mean, all I know is information about motors. I don't know how to work on them. That's why I have mechanics. But you have Josh LLC now. He's a Nomad mechanic, so he'll help you out if you have any breakdowns. Josh says, go with a Ford engine unless you're going 2020 plus. Chevy engines, especially vans and trucks, 2013 to 2020, eat camshafts. There you go. Our Nomad mobile mechanic says avoid Chevy engines 2013 to 2020. That's good to know. I didn't know that. I just thought all the Vortec Chevy stuff was good. So happy to know. Go with a Ford engine. Josh says I used ForScan to customize my door unlock settings. Oh, that's pretty cool. Ha, ForScan, ha, not a joke. Diana, yeah, she probably has a Chevy 350. ForScan is real, literally Ford factory scan tool, but for free. Nice. 1990 Chevy G30 is what she has. Yeah, so I don't know what engine's in that. I mean, it's a Chevy engine. I don't know what that is. 1990, I don't think it's a Vortec. I don't know what that is. I'm not really an engine guy. I don't know too much. All I know is what stuff I've owned. Matt AK says my Tundra gets 14. If your bus does better than that, you're winning. Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, my first cargo van only got 12, so you're winning with 15. GOT Reaction says there's so many shuttles in my area. I wish I could find the unicorn box, though. Josh says you can read live data. Okay, yeah, I definitely need to get the Ford. Now I got ForScan stuck in my head. I got to get the ForScan. Is that like that ForScan? Is that like something that plugs into your OBD2? I assume that's like just a little module you plug into the OBD2, and then maybe I can live stream to a monitor. That would be badass. Got Reaction says there's so many shuttles in my area. I wish I could find the unicorn box truck. Yeah, I agree. I prefer I love my box truck. It's so nice. The thing is, the reason there's so many shuttles for sale is because the aftermarket for shuttles isn't that good. You know, you can't do much with a shuttle bus. The only thing you can do with a shuttle bus is either haul people or convert it into a tiny home. You can't really use it for like loading and hauling equipment and materials. And that's what a lot of people do with box trucks. That's why box trucks are more not as available, because small businesses buy them. Painters and contractors and landscapers and plumbers, they use these box trucks for work trucks. So, and they don't use shuttle buses because it just doesn't really make sense. They don't have the roll-up door. They have all the windows. So shuttle buses really just aren't that valuable unless you're going to do a conversion or haul people around. So that's why you see a lot more of them for sale. Let's see. Eric Potter, I'm getting almost 40 in a Sienna van. Man, that's the dream, baby. I would love to have a minivan for its fuel economy and cruising around the city, but I definitely wouldn't want to live in a minivan. You know, to each their own, but just for me, I got to be able to stand up and walk around. Get a scan gauge for live data, just stick it in the dash somewhere. Use one to monitor. Yeah, I'd love to know temps and stuff when I'm driving around, especially I did some pretty crazy hill climbs going from Reno over here to San Francisco, so I'd love to be able to watch the live data, see how hot stuff's getting. Yeah, got reactions. The great thing about box trucks is, it's a regular van front end, same as a shuttle bus. So any mechanical work on it, parts are cheap and affordable. You can get any part you need at AutoZone or O'Reilly's. Eric Potter asking about the 2020 plus cargo trucks. Yeah, they do get better mileage. Just mentioned the new Fords have a 7.3 gas motor that gets 15 miles per gallon versus my current engine gets about 10. Josh says I need a Bluetooth dongle. I can make that happen. No sweat. Hotels and churches, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Hybrid box trucks, that would be cool. That would be cool. I wouldn't mind a hybrid box truck. I think I'm going to make a little dinner. I took out one of my chicken packages that I made for Burning Man. So, if you guys have been following along, I pre-cooked a whole bunch of food for my trip to Burning Man because I was preparing to basically be 100% self-sufficient with no alternative food sources for 10 days, 12 days. But once I got there, I volunteered at a theme camp and they provided free meals. So I ended up not eating a lot of my own food. So I have a lot of extra. I mean, it's all going to get eaten. It just, it didn't all get eaten at Burning Man. So this is some chicken that I cut up, chicken breast that I cut up and cooked. But, excuse me. But actually, I really like the food prep. I mean, I spent basically maybe 4 hours completely cooking up all the steak and chicken and ground beef, loaded my fridge and my freezer. But in reality, all that food, you know, if I'm just doing regular van life, all that food would last me probably a month, the amount of food that I cooked. And so I think to spend one day, 4 or 5 hours cooking all your food, bag it and freeze it, and then to not have to cook throughout the week, like no intense cooking, just heating, I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, exactly, Diana. I can just heat it up in the Instant Pot. Yeah, got reactions. I agree. I love leftovers. My mom would always eat leftovers for breakfast, which I thought was pretty crazy. But now that I'm older, I'm like, I don't care. I just need to eat. I don't care what it is. So I'll definitely, um, I'll definitely eat leftovers. So I'm gonna try out these mashed potatoes. Um, I've had them before, but not in a long time. So I got these instant potatoes. So I think it's pretty easy. Let's see what it says. Combine water, salt, and butter. Heat to a boil. Remove from heat. Add cold milk. Stir. Okay, cool. So basically, let's see. I might do these in the Instant Pot. And then I'll heat the chicken on my cooktop. I think that's what I'll do. Okay. Yeah, meal prep doesn't have to be leftovers. It can be even better. I agree with that. Okay, we're gonna do a little cooking. I'm getting hungry. You guys are welcome to hang out here if you want to see me making some Nomad dinner. Man, it's bright. We got the sun coming through the window. Josh, this is literally the same Instant Pot that I've had for 6 years. I noticed you watched my original YouTube video, my van life shaving video, like 6 years ago. That was in my first cargo van on I think the Klamath River in Washington. But yeah, this is literally the same Instant Pot. I think it's the 3 quart. Yeah, it's the 3 quart model. It's 700 watts, and I've had this for 6 years. And it's crazy how well it works, and like it hasn't broken. Like there's no problems with it. It just works, which is crazy because I mean I bought it for like 35 bucks 6 years ago at Walmart, and oh, the ice cream man's here. Oh snap. Um, You know what's crazy too is this is the original seal on the inside of the lid. Like when you buy the bigger Instant Pots, they give you an extra seal. I've been using this one for 6 years and it's still good. Like, how long do I have to run it before the seal needs to be replaced? That's absolutely crazy. Um, but what I was gonna say, what's crazy is I've used this so much. Like when I first started van life, this was, I basically used this every morning to boil water for coffee. And then I would use it to cook my meat. I basically exclusively cooked in an Instant Pot for the first 3 years of my van life. So I used this thing like 2 to 3 times a day, every day for like 3 years. And I don't use it as much anymore, but I still use it and it hasn't had any problems. So I'm definitely a fan of the Instant Pot. I think if you're a van lifer, it's a must have. Yeah, so you can leave the lid off and put water in and just press the saute button and it'll just boil water like a regular pot. And in fact, I've even cooked spaghetti and pasta in it. Arizona, been going for 4 years. Heck yeah, they changed the seal. Um, yeah, so if you just put it on saute and put water in, it'll just boil like a regular pot will. So you can boil water for coffee, tea. I've made pasta in it, spaghetti, basically anything you want. In fact, I was uh, I was dating a girl a couple years ago, and she was able to make grilled cheese sandwiches. Believe it or not, on the just on the bottom of the pot. She just sprayed it with like some Pam, like some cooking, cooking spray. She sprayed the bottom with cooking spray, and then she had these little like smaller sandwiches that was like grilled cheese and then had like ham and avocado in them. And she would just cook them in the Instant Pot, and they turned out stinking good. So you can do all kinds of stuff with it that's not necessarily like recommended. You just got to kind of think outside the pot. Yeah, so um, I'm giving my Instant Pot a clean out because what I use this for a lot of times is reheating leftovers. And so when you use it for reheating, you put like 2 inches of water in the bottom, and then you put um, this piece in, which is called the trivet, and then you set your bowl with the leftovers on top. So you're basically creating a water bath that boils and steams your leftovers. But so when I do that, I leave the same water in it for like multiple days. Because I'm not like eating the water. The water is just heating my food. So the water that was in here has been in here for maybe a week or longer. And so now that I'm um, doing potatoes, I don't want to I don't want to eat the week old funky water. So we're starting fresh. Okay. So what are we doing? 66 people in the live. Appreciate you guys being here, hanging out, making some dinner with old Nomad Brad. So, and then I got to heat the chicken. Okay, so what do we got? Combined water, salt, butter, servings. The smallest serving size they have is two servings, so I guess that's what I'll make. 2/3 of a cup of water, a quarter teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of butter, a third of a cup of milk, a half a cup of potatoes. Okay, let's do it. We got some milk. I might need to actually open a new one, but we got it. We got some butter. Got the Kerrygold butter. At the park, in the box truck, making dinner. Should we check on the normal people? See what the normal people are doing. Oh, they won't focus on it. They're out there in the park, pushing babies in strollers, getting their exercise in. What's going on over here? People just out hustling and bustling. Look at that. There's like a line. Looks like they're out of parking spots. Old Nomad Brad taking up the spot, making some dinner. That's okay. All those normies stressing out on rent, car payment, and crappy partners. Yeah, I hear you. That's the old life that I will not be going back to. Old Nomad Brad will not be going back to stressing about bills and car payments, rent, none of it. None of it, man. Um, okay, what do we got? Here's a cup, a measuring cup. Okay, so we're just gonna do this. Got reactions. We're just gonna do this guess style. I'm just gonna guess. I have a 1 cup measuring cup, so that's close enough. I'm not gonna use half cups and quarter cups. So we're just gonna eyeball it. Okay, so the first thing we need is 2/3 of a cup of water. So I'm gonna fill this 1 cup measuring cup 2/3 full. Okay. And then what else do we got? Milk, 1/3 of a cup of milk. Okay. So we'll put in a third. This is the A2 milk. We're gonna drop this in. I should smell it first. That's still good. So I had some that went bad a couple weeks ago, and I didn't realize it because I was only using it for milk for my espresso machine, so I was foaming it, and I was drinking my coffee, my espresso with the foam in it, and I noticed it was like curdling. If you know what that looks like when milk gets bad, it kind of curdles and it turns into little chunks. And so I was drinking my coffee and I looked in it and the foam was like curdled and then I grabbed the container and smelled it and it smelled awful. Josh LOC says, in regards to van life, you learn a whole lot about yourself. For example, all the freedom actually had me frozen. I didn't know what to do for a month. It's wild. You mean when you first got into van life, all the freedom of van life had you frozen? I assume that's what you're talking about. Yeah, it's definitely a transition process, and I think a lot of people that get into van life and then they quit really soon. Like there's a lot of people that get in and they quit after like a couple months, and I think they just freak out by like how much freedom, how much free time you have, and they're not used to all that. And it's like it's uncomfortable because it's different. Yeah, Josh says, yeah, he had so much free time he didn't know what to do with himself. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind, guys. If you're new to van life, you're considering it, you haven't quite got into it yet, you definitely need to just like mentally prepare for the fact that you're going to have a lot of free time, and there's going to be some times of discomfort where it's like you can do anything, go anywhere, and there's no restrictions. And so you're kind of off that normal path of like go to job, go to work, go to the gym, go to the store, make dinner. And so you have a lot more freedom, and so it can be easy to feel overwhelmed. And so it can did I say that right? It can be easy to feel overwhelmed. So just know that going into it and give yourself some space, and just know that the discomfort is a little temporary, and try to just focus on, whatever, figuring out what you want to do in life, right? Like it's kind of the first time in your life where you actually can think about what you want and what you want to do, what's important to you, rather than the other stuff. Okay, potatoes, half cup of potatoes. But if you guys can push through the first couple months, then I think you'll find it really enjoyable. Josh LLC, he hit the coast and the rest falls into place. Couldn't have said it any better, Brad. Do what you want. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like Josh LLC, he did it nice. He had a little plan. He went and toured the coast, and that'll help you out a lot when your guys are just starting. If you can have a little bit of a plan of like what you're going to do at first, it'll be a good transition because you'll have a purpose and a mission, and so it's not like you just go from a ton of responsibility to zero responsibility. There's kind of a transition time where it's like, okay, I'm living in the van, but I'm going here and I'm doing this, and so that's kind of a nice little buffer, so you don't just panic by all the free time and unlimited choices. But I think that's probably what it was like for humans, pretty often before society got super busy, right? Like you had a lot more free time, and you had a lot more choices to do what you want. I mean, think about when our parents were kids or our grandparents were kids. There was a lot of just sitting around on the porch, just sitting by the river, just hanging out. There was a lot of just hanging out before technology really increased in the 90s. And so I think, in a way, van life kind of gets you back to that point. Even though there's technology, it gets you back to that point where there's a lot more free time and a lot more chances to do what you want. Okay, so we got the water, we got the milk, we got the potatoes. Let's see, combine water, salt, butter. Oops. I wasn't supposed to add the milk yet. Oh well. Okay, so now we're going to heat it. Oh, butter. I got to add some salt and some butter. Let's do a pinch of salt. Here we go, pinch of salt. And we're going to add some butter. Got the Kerrygold. We'll just add a little dribble here. I forgot to put my phone on airplane mode. I just had some people try to call my work number. By the way, I wanted a couple things I want to talk about regarding conversions and new people that are getting into conversions. I talked to a guy today that bought a ProMaster unfinished and bought a bunch of random things online that he thought he wanted and needed, and different parts and things. And after talking with him today, a lot of the stuff he got is not really the right stuff. So I would recommend for you guys, if you're just getting in and you're new, when it comes to the build out, the conversion process, electrical, plumbing, windows, don't buy stuff until you have a plan that either you're going to build it and convert it yourself or you're going to hire a builder. Because a lot of times stuff you just see online, isn't going to be what you want, and you won't know that until you actually get into the build out. This is just if you don't have previous experience. So that would be my first advice, is don't get bit by the van life bug and just go out and run out and buy a bunch of stuff, because it might not be the right stuff and you might regret it. Okay, so that's set. So now what we're going to do is we have the milk, the water, the salt, the butter in the Instant Pot. We're going to bring it to a boil. So the way you do that is you just hit the saute button, and the saute button, it'll just run on high until it boils. And then what we're going to do is, after it boils, we turn off the heat. I was supposed to wait on the milk. I didn't wait. That's just what it is. We'll turn off the heat, and then we stir in the potatoes and just let it sit until it cools down, and then fluff it with a fork. Very, very simple. See what Josh says. He's in the chat. Josh says, I didn't do any permanent fixtures when I took it off. How are you going to know where you want everything when you've never done it? After a couple weeks, I knew where to put my bed. Yeah, that's something else to consider, is when you haven't lived in your vehicle yet, it's really difficult to know what kind of layout you're going to want. until you've lived in it. And so it's definitely better if you can get your vehicle, try to live in it for a while first, and just do like temporary stuff. And then once you've spent at least a few weeks in it or a month, then you can have a little better idea of what you want. I know that's not ideal for everybody. Some people might be in more of a hurry, or they just don't have that luxury. But, you know, for me, I rebuilt my first vehicle, my cargo van. I rebuilt the entire thing 3 different times because, you know, I built it initially with the bed long ways, and then the second time I built it with the bed sideways in the back. And so it's just one of those things that until you start living in it, it's really difficult to know how you want things to be laid out. So if that's an option, I would recommend not buying a bunch of stuff until you do the conversion or find a builder. And don't do any major permanent build stuff until you know how you're going to want it. Now you can do smaller stuff like Josh just said. You could do the flooring, the insulation, the ceiling, the walls. None of that's really going to change, but like bed and counter and cabinets, that kind of stuff. It definitely helps if you can wait. If you can wait to do all that. All right, we're heating up on the Instant Pot. It's getting dark in here. I'm going to close the blinds and fire up the lights. Get some additional lighting in here. Oh, that's dark. That got real dark, didn't it? Nighttime van life with Nomad Brad. Hold on, guys. We're coming back. There we go. Got the ceiling lights in. So I always close my windows before I turn on my overhead lighting because at nighttime, when the lights are on, they're so bright. Even though my side windows are tinted, you can see everything. If you're looking inside, you can see clear as day what's going on. So not that it really matters, but I just prefer to not have people know that I'm hanging out in my truck. Shane C., what happened to the Burning Man? What do you mean? I have a Burning Man video coming out Sunday, so it's going to be a really good one. I really tried to document what the hell actually happens at Burning Man. So this is like a pretty good breakdown for anyone that hasn't gone so they can understand like what all goes on there. And then also I did I have a bunch of footage of me actually kind of driving around and exploring, so you can get an idea for kind of what it's like to be there, to explore, to see all the stuff going on. So definitely watch Sunday's video. It's going to be really good. Yeah, it's going to be really good. This weekend I'm going to Tiny Fest San Francisco. It's at the Santa Clara County Fairgrounds. So I'm going to do a live stream probably Sunday evening. I'm not sure what time Tiny Fest closes, but I'll do a live stream right before it closes, maybe like 4 p.m. And so I'll do a little walk around for any of you guys that want to see what's going on, see what you missed. And should be fun. There's going to be a few nomads there hanging out. A few nomads, a few nomad events. I'm going to do a presentation Saturday on solar power. Renee, the organizer of the event, hit me up and asked me if I could do a presentation because they had an empty slot. Let me know if you guys can hear me, if that vent fan isn't too loud. I know it's probably kind of loud, but I'm trying to get all the vapors out. So now I got the saucepan. I'm heating up some chicken. So we're going to have chicken and mashed potatoes for dinner. I'm out of vegetables. Hear you okay? Thank you. I'm out of vegetables, so no vegetables tonight. But I had a huge carrot for lunch. So I'm going to call that good enough. Adventures with Super Dave, your DJI mic works good. Happy to hear that. Happy to hear that it works good. keeping out the bad noise, keeping in the good noise. Doing some chicken here on the pan. The potatoes are almost boiling. The potatoes are going to be done before my chicken is. That's crazy. Josh LOC, I'm just stoked to see you making progress, Diana. Yeah, Diana's been working at it for a long time. She's committed. I've been talking to Diana for years. Clear back when I was living in Texas, I think is when she first stumbled upon the channel. Back when she had her shuttle bus, and now she's moved on to a 5-window schoolie. And so, how's that coming along, Diana? How is the schoolie progress? I guess I should check the chat. I think you might have said it in the chat. I missed it. I missed it because I'm cooking chicken. Maybe she didn't say. Maybe you didn't say about it. Oh, here we go. I did all the insulation, ceiling, walls, and now working on the floor. I'll be putting sink, counter cabinet from Restore, and some furniture I already have. Easy breezy. Awesome. Yeah, I'm happy to hear. I'm happy to hear that Diana's moving along with that. It's definitely, the nice thing about the buses is that you can get regular furniture. Like from Restore, you can get a sink cabinet. You can use regular cabinets from Lowe's or Home Depot. So it's definitely pretty easier to convert a shuttle bus, schoolie, or a box truck rather than like a van. Vans are a lot more difficult. All right, so we got the milk bubbling. I'm gonna turn it off, add the potatoes, and stir it in. Looks like mashed potatoes. So somebody asked about Nomad King Gamer. So Nomad King Gamer is in San Diego still. So here's the situation. Nomad King Gamer started his car life adventure in San Diego. No, in Yuma, actually. He was living at his grandparent or his family member's house in Yuma. He got his car, and then basically he was a nomad in Yuma for a couple weeks. It was too hot, and so he moved over to San Diego. And so King's been in San Diego hanging out with us, helping out with the builds and just kind of supporting everybody there in San Diego for the last few months. But right now, Mark from Wanderbox, who's the guy doing the build out on Zach's big box truck, he went to Burning Man, and Zach and him were kind of tired of building in San Diego. They wanted to relocate, kind of change it up a little bit. And so they went to Oregon. So right now, Mark and Zach are in Bend, Oregon, Southern Oregon, working on Zach's box truck build. Which is a little crazy because this is not a good time to go to Oregon. It's getting really cold. I grew up in Oregon, so I know how it goes. Fall and winter in Oregon, it's cold and it's rainy. So their plan was to stay in Oregon and finish the build out, which would be a couple months, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to hit cold temperature and rain, and I think it's going to jam up. I think it's going to jam them up, and they're going to have to leave. Also, yeah, there's also fires. There's a fire going on in Bend, Oregon as well. So there's a lot of challenges happening, so I think they're going to leave. But what I was getting at is Nomad King is watching Mark's dog, Eli, because there's no pets allowed at Burning Man. And so King offered to watch Mark's dog Eli while he was at Burning Man. So King currently has his dog, and the plan is King is now going to drive up to Bend, Oregon to meet up with Mark and deliver the dog, and then also help him with the build out. That's his plan. Um, Burning Man was last week. I was at Burning Man last week. But I'm a little worried for King because his car is not in very good shape. It's he's got some like engine transmission issues, and so it's a it's a pretty grueling drive to go from San Diego to Bend, Oregon. It's a lot of hills, um, and so I don't know if his car is gonna make it. I hope it does. I'm wishing him the best. But as of right now, his plan. I talked to him yesterday. King's plan is to head to Oregon next week. Head to Bend. So I hope he makes it. But also, I'm a little nervous for him because of the situation of his car. So that's it. We cooked it. That wasn't bad at all. Check it out. Right here, I got my potatoes with my chicken on top. Looks pretty good. I'm gonna sit down and eat it. All right, so getting back to the chat, somebody asked how I ended up in Texas. Yeah, I went to Texas in 2020. It was right when COVID was popping off, and I was in Oregon at the time, and Oregon was totally shut down. Like, even restaurants were closed. You could only get takeout. It was just a bummer. There was like nothing to do. And I knew this guy in Texas who was like a freedom guy. I never met him in person, but I was just uh, I was following him like on YouTube, and he's like a freedom guy, and he had a little homestead in Texas, and he just mentioned like, hey, um, I need some help with my business at my new homestead in Texas. If anyone wants to come out, and I was like, me. And so I hit him up, and he invited me down. So I ended up staying in Texas for like 2 years. Nikki, yes, I am doing this Sunday is going to be the best Burning Man video to watch. And so that's how I ended up in Texas. I stayed there for 2 years. I went down in one box truck, lived there for about, I don't know, 9 months. And then I sold that box truck and built out this box truck at his farm in Texas. And so I was basically able to stay on his farm for free. And he actually paid me hourly to do chores on his farm. So it was actually a really good deal. I mean, free rent on a farm. I had plugins, I had water, and I mean, everyone was super nice and friendly. It was a cool spot to be out in the country. And I got paid hourly to do some like, little maintenance and mowing and take care of the chickens and stuff. So it was a really good deal. Yeah, Texas was really good. Everyone wants air conditioning and solar in Texas. There's a lot of job opportunities. I was, excuse me, I was really conflicted. By the way, let me know if you guys can hear me eating. I'll take off the microphone. I don't want you to hear me munching. Maybe I'll take it off anyway. Okay. Hopefully you can still hear that. Let me know. So basically, I was really torn on Texas. I liked the people I was staying with, and the Texas people in general. I liked Texans. And I liked the opportunity. There was a ton of work there. The Austin van life community was pretty nice, and there was nobody that did the kind of work that I do there. Like, there was nobody doing solar and electrical and air conditioning installs for vans. So, like, there was a ton of work. But the problem is the state of Texas is pretty boring when you live in a van. And this is why. It's super like 6 months out of the year, it's super hot and humid, like unbearable, like 90 to 103 degrees with humidity. So you can't even really, you don't even really want to be outside. It's miserable. You want everyone's just inside in the air conditioning. So when you live in a van, basically 6 months out of the year, you're just inside your van, which is pretty boring. Yeah, Oklahoma, same thing. And all the bugs there are crazy. Like all the ants, the little flying creatures, everything like gets into your rig. They all try to bite you. Like all the little spiders and bugs are pretty angry. And also for a van lifer, like for me, the big part of van life is being able to like go out in nature. And Texas doesn't really have that much nature. It's all flat. Like there's no mountains. There's like some reservoirs. There's a few lakes, but all the water is like ugly and brown. It's just not a pretty place. The only saving grace for me is I was about 40 minutes east of Austin, Texas, and Austin is beautiful. They have a lot of natural springs, they have beautiful lakes, a lot of greenery. So Austin is really beautiful. And so I would go down into Austin quite a bit and hang out down there. But the problem is, it's still humid. And so it's like you really don't want to be outside most of the year. So that's why I left Texas. Um, I don't have any plans to go back. Honestly, from everything I've seen, I believe I believe the best scenario for van life is spending winters in Southern California or Arizona, Nevada, and then spending summers on the West Coast, or like the northwestern states. Like, if you go up into Idaho and Colorado and northern Nevada, it's pretty beautiful. But I feel like that's really the best options, in the wintertime, Southern California, Arizona. In the summertime, cruise the Northwest. So I'm probably just going to stick to that, honestly. Yeah, Matt, AK, Matt, Alaska. Alaska looks beautiful. Um, I I would not take this van to Alaska. Hey, Diana, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Happy to have you here. Good luck on the bus build. I hope you're able to make some more progress, and and hope you're able to start living in that bus very soon. So yeah, I wouldn't take this van to Alaska. Alaska looks cool though, but from what I've seen, the roads look pretty rough, and this poor van, I think all the bolts would just get shaken loose out of it. I just did a pretty good loop this last month, going from San Diego to Reno, Nevada, and then over to San Francisco. Now I'm heading back down to San Diego. That's been a pretty nice loop. I was really happy to go up to Reno just because it's mountains, there's trees, there's a lot of beauty in Reno, Nevada, which I was surprised. I thought Reno was just going to be dry desert um like Las Vegas, but it wasn't. It was pretty green. Mischief Maker asking when I left the burn. I left on Sunday. I left Sunday morning before the temple burn, and I did it on purpose because I didn't want to sit in a bunch of traffic, and I knew that most people, um, yeah, Matt AK, that's a not a bad idea. Just do a pickup with a truck camper and a cargo trailer. Not a bad idea. A full size 4x4 pickup would be so much better off road than this thing. What was I saying? Burning Man. Yeah, I left Sunday morning on purpose because I didn't want to wait in line. And I knew that pretty much everyone that was there Sunday, like if you were there Sunday, you were going to stay for the temple burn. And I already saw the man burn. I was cool with that. So I just took off Sunday morning, and I'm glad I did because it only took me an hour and a half to get out. And all the videos I saw, people that waited till after the burn, there was a huge windstorm, big brownout. So I'm glad I left Sunday morning. And yeah, for anybody wondering, I'm releasing my Burning Man video this Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific. So this will be the best video of Burning Man. I think it does a pretty good job of summarizing everything. I got some good footage. You'll enjoy it. Anyway, so we've been going for an hour and a half now. That's about it for me. Do you guys have any questions or anything you wanna you want to talk about before I sign off here? Okay, so Thea Young is asking about a roll-up door. So have you watched my video? I have a video that's about converting a roll-up door into a man door, but I didn't remove the roll-up door. I left it in place and I just added some plywood and insulation over the top of it. I think that's the best option because I've seen it, but I'm scared to jump in on that one. I mean, that's your easiest solution, Thea. Otherwise, you have to remove the whole roll-up door, and then you have to build a wall from scratch. That's way more effort than just closing the roll-up door, sealing it off, and then putting some plywood sheeting over it. That's a way easier process. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, there's no easier option. If that scares you, you're gonna have to hire somebody to do it. But I think it makes the most sense because it saves you money. You know, you're not having to haul off the old roll-up door and then buy a bunch of new expensive wood. You just use what's already there. So that's my advice. Use the existing roll-up door. Do like my video. Add 2x2, add insulation, add plywood sheeting, add siding, and you're done. That's really the simplest way to do it. That's why I did it that way. It's easiest. Okay. What else we got? What is the purpose of Burning Man? It's a big... You have to watch my video on Sunday. But it's basically a spot to hang out for a week with like-minded people, enjoy music and beautiful light shows and fireworks and artwork, and just kind of hang out. Matt AK, did you put a gray water tank under the truck or just use a jug? Um, I have gray water under my sink because the only thing I use gray water for is my kitchen faucet. I don't have a shower or anything. And so it made sense to me to just put the gray water right under the kitchen tank. And it's only a 10-gallon gray water. In my last box truck, I had a 28-gallon gray water, but I didn't have a shower. I only had a sink, and I never filled it up. So, and a lot of times I just let mine drip because all it is, toothpaste and food, water from washing dishes. So it's not, it's not very bad water. So I just let it drip out. And then I have an on-off valve on the gray water, so I close it if I'm somewhere where I don't want water to leak out, but otherwise I just let it drip. Let's see what else we got. But I like the 10-gallon. If you're only using a sink, the 10-gallon, that'll last me like a week if I'm being conservative with my, because again, all I'm doing is washing my hands, brushing my teeth, and cleaning dishes. Nikki, will you start a travel tribe like in California? Super Dave, there will be a live from Tiny Fest on Sunday, and also I'll do a regular video as well. So there'll be 2 Tiny Fest videos. Nikki, yeah, so I mean that travel tribe, I didn't really start it. It just organically formed. There was just a bunch of nomads that all happened to be in San Diego and we all got together and kind of started hanging out. And that's the way nomad life and van life kind of works, is you'll go to a location and you'll meet other van lifers that you click with, and you'll kind of hang out together, and you might travel a little bit together, but then ultimately you will go your own ways. So that's kind of just the nature of van life. There's lots of them that go on. It's just that people don't really film it. Like I mean, this is pretty routine. I have a lot of friends that do this, um, and they'll share little clips on Instagram. They just don't put full YouTube videos out. So, um, yeah, I mean, I'm sure when after I head back south, there's going to be people back in San Diego again, and then when I go over to Arizona this winter, there's probably going to be people over there as well. So yeah, stay tuned, keep watching, and I'm sure there'll be more Travel Tribe videos coming out. What happened to my chat? Give me my chat. Here it is. Okay, we're going back to the questions. Fuel coming down in Cali, $3.30 a gallon. Yeah, Mischief Maker, I heard somebody on the news said that's a sign the economy is like doing bad. But I mean, if that means the economy's bad, then let it dump so I can get cheaper gas. I'm all about it. Donald Fraser is recommending cab access. Yeah, you definitely want to do cab access before you permanently drop the rear door. Otherwise, you can't get back inside. Thea says, my main thing is I'm using a winch to lift my bed to the ceiling, and the rails block where that will lift to the ceiling. Yeah, so after you drop the rear door, you can cut the rails off. I left mine in just because I didn't need to cut them and it was easy to cover over them, but you can just use a grinder. The same grinder I used in my video to cut the cables, you can use that same grinder to cut off the track where your bed goes. Mike, I have a Toyota Sienna 100 watt panel, 100 amp hour battery, max fan, fridge. Hell yeah, I would get a second panel, Mike. 100 watts is pretty small, especially if you're going to run a fridge. So I would recommend 200 watts of solar on a 100 amp hour battery. But I'd be happy to help you out with that in San Diego. Does a 2 kilowatt heater output less heat than the 5 and the 8? Yes. Yes, 2 outputs less heat than a 5, which outputs less heat than an 8. I have a 5 in this box truck, and it heats it really well. I wouldn't do less than a 5. You could do an 8 if you want, but I think a 5 is pretty good. If you have a bigger box truck, like the 17-foot box, I would get an 8. Yeah, you know, that's... So Cracker Jack says, in San Diego, we're kicked out of Fiesta Island for 3 days. Yeah, that's part of being a nomad. You don't own any of the land. It's all public land, and so you have to share it. So we have to share Fiesta Island. Sometimes it gets closed for bicycle races. They have some RV event that closed Fiesta for like a week this year. But that's just how it is, man. You just got to move on. But, I mean, there's the thing about San Diego, there's probably 5 parks that you can go stay at within a 10-mile radius all along the coast that are nicer than Fiesta Island. And you can't stay overnight at Fiesta Island anyway, so who cares if it's closed? Just go to another park. Thanks for the live chat. This was a lot of awesome content. Thanks for sticking around. I appreciate you. Cracker Jack, gas prices usually drop. Yeah, that's true, Cracker Jack. They boost the prices up in the summer because they know everyone's on vacation, and they want to gouge you, those jackals. Thea's asking if I have any good all-in-one power systems to look into. I'm building a custom battery at the B. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of work. Yeah, Thea, email me. nomadbrad503@gmail.com. I can help you out. You don't need Victron. Nobody needs Victron. Stop buying Victron. You don't need it. You don't need Battleborn batteries either. I can, like, my entire system my entire electrical system, including my batteries and my solar panels, is less than just, cost me less than just a Victron inverter and charge controller. The pricing's ridiculous. Thea, email me. I will help you find equipment that's not expensive. That's reliable. Peace out, Josh. Happy to see you here. I will see you in person in Arizona. Yeah, Matt AK agrees. Battleborn's expensive. The only good thing is they have like a 10-year warranty, but I don't recommend them. You can get a LI time. So 100 amp hour Battleborn battery is like $800. You can get about 400 amp hours, 4 times the battery from LI time for the same price. Doesn't make sense. Okay. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'm out. I'm having trouble finishing all this food while I'm talking, so I'm gonna take off. We've been going for almost 2 hours now. I appreciate everybody for stopping in. Tune in Sunday for my Sunday at 5 p.m. 4 or 5 p.m. I'm gonna do a live. I'll announce it earlier Sunday, so come back Sunday afternoon, evening. I'm gonna do a live stream from Tiny Fest, and then Sunday evening at 6 p.m. I'll be releasing my Burning Man video. Check it out. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you guys. Have a good evening. Nomad Brad signing out. Peace.